Right, there's a second of this two record set of William Wordsworth readings. I gave you some earlier on the previous set. This one is Columbia DX 1602, and it's read by Stephen Murray, or recited by Stephen Murray, almost in the first person. It almost sounds like William Wordsworth reading himself. It's so good. And titles are To Sleep, A Flock of Sheep, London 1802, Milton, Thou Shouldest Be Living, composed upon Westminster Bridge, September the 3rd, 1802, and Surprised by Joy, Impatient in Mind. So there's quite a collection on this lovely 78. Let's have a listen.
A flock of sheep that leisurely pass by, one after one. The sound of rain and bees murmuring. The fall of rivers, winds and seas, smooth fields, white sheets of water and pure sky. I have thought of all by turns, and yet do lie sleepless. And soon the small bird's melodies must hear, first uttered from my orchard trees, and the first cuckoo's melancholy cry. Even thus, last night and 2 nights more I lay, and could not win me sleep by any stealth. So do not let me wear the night away. Without thee, what is all the morning's wealth? Come, blessed barrier between day and day, dear mother of fresh thoughts and joyous health. Milton, thou shouldst be living at this hour. England hath need of thee. She is a fen of stagnant waters. Altar, sword and pen, fireside, the heroic wealth of hall and bower have forfeited their ancient English dower of inward happiness. We are selfish men. Oh, raise us up, return to us again, and give us manners, virtue, freedom, power. Thy soul was like a star and dwelt apart. Thou hadst a voice whose sound was like the sea, pure as the naked heavens, majestic, free. So didst thou travel on life's common way, in cheerful godliness. And yet thy heart the lowliest beauties on herself did lay. Earth has not anything to show more fair. Dull would he be of soul who could pass by a sight so touching in its majesty. This city now doth like a garment wear the beauty of the morning. Silent, bare, ships, towers, domes, theatres, and temples lie open unto the fields and to the sky, all bright and glittering in the smokeless air. Never did sun more beautifully steep in his first splendor valley, rock, and hill. Ne'er saw I, never felt a calm so deep. The river glideth at his own sweet will. Dear God, the very houses seem asleep, and all that mighty heart is lying still. Surprised by joy, impatient as the wind, I turn to share the transport. Oh, with whom but thee, deep buried in the silent tomb, that spot which no vicissitude can find. Love, faithful love, recall thee to my mind. But how could I forget thee? Through what power, even for the least division of an hour, have I been so beguiled as to be blind to my most grievous loss? That thought's return was the worst pang that sorrow ever bore, save one only, when I stood forlorn, knowing my heart's best treasure was no more, that neither present time nor years unborn could to my sight that heavenly face restore.
Right, side 2 of this Columbia record, DX 1602, William Wordsworth. Extracts from the prelude, Fair seed time had my soul and I grew up, and yet for chastisement of these regrets. And it's read by Stephen Murray, probably circa 1950s.
Fair seed time had my soul, and I grew up fostered alike by beauty and by fear. Much favoured in my birthplace, and no less in that beloved vale to which ere long we were transplanted, there were we let loose for sports of wider range. Ere I had told 10 birthdays, when among the mountain slopes frost and the breath of frosty wind had snapped the last autumnal crocus, 'twas my joy with store of springes on my shoulder hung, to range the open heights where woodcocks run among the smooth green turf. Through half the night, scudding away from snare to snare, I plied that anxious visitation. Moon and stars were shining o'er my head. I was alone, and seemed to be a trouble to the peace that dwelt among them. Sometimes it befell in these night wanderings that a strong desire o'erpowered my better reason, and the bird which was the captive of another's toil became my prey. And when the deed was done, I heard among the solitary hills low breathings coming after me, and sounds of undistinguishable motion, steps almost as silent as the turf they trod. Nor less when spring had warmed the cultured vale, moved we as plunderers where the mother bird had in high places built her lodge. Though mean our object and inglorious, yet the end was not ignoble. Oh, when I have hung above the raven's nest, by knots of grass and half-inch fissures in the slippery rock but ill-sustained, and almost so it seemed, suspended by the blast that blew amain, shouldering the naked crag. Oh, at that time, while on the perilous ridge I hung alone, with what strange utterance did the loud, dry wind blow through my ears. The sky seemed not a sky of earth, and with what motion moved the clouds. And yet, for chastisement of these regrets, the memory of one particular hour doth here rise up against me. Mid a throng of maids and youths, old men and matrons stayed, a medley of all tempers, I had passed the night in dancing, gaiety, and mirth, with din of instruments and shuffling feet, and glancing forms and tapers glittering, and unaimed prattle flying up and down, spirits upon the stretch, and here and there slight shocks of young love-liking interspersed, whose transient pleasure mounted to the head and tingled through the veins. Ere we retired, the cock had crowed, and now the eastern sky was kindling, not unseen from humble copse and open field, through which the pathway wound and homeward led my steps. Magnificent the morning rose, in memorable pomp, glorious as e'er I had beheld. In front the sea lay laughing at a distance. Near the solid mountain shone, bright as the clouds, grain-tinctured, drenched in empyrean light. And in the meadows and the lower ground was all the sweetness of a common dawn, dews, vapors, and the melody of birds, and labourers going forth to till the field. Ah, need I say, dear friend, that to the brim my heart was full. I made no vows, but vows were then made for me. Bond unknown to me was given, that I should be, else sinning greatly, a dedicated spirit. On I walked in thankful blessedness, which yet survived.